Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Home to Self podcast. It is Saturday morning, and I just got back from a beautiful tea ceremony that my dear friend Christy held. And I felt really called to just jump on and record and share a little bit about my experience and some thoughts that were coming through, and really a theme that has been present for me lately, which is all about presence and really the deeper topic of why it is that we miss our lives. I think we can all relate with the feeling of time passing quickly. And I think it's something to talk about because I know for myself, I tend to autopilot my way through life. Technically, we all do this. It's what the brain does. It starts to go on autopilot when things are really ingrained in the subconscious. When you repeat behaviors and similar routines every day, you can, go through the motions without really being fully present. And to me, that is part of why we miss our lives, so to speak, because we are constantly just living in our heads and rushing to the next moment. It's like there's always somewhere to get to. And that leads me to the quote that I want to start this off with, which is so profound. It's a quote by Corey Muscara that I remember the first time I read it, I was like, whoa, it's one of those quotes that sticks with you. And it says, excuse me, it says, the belief that there is some future moment more worth our presence than the one we're in right now is why we miss our lives. I'm just going to let that land for a second. The belief that there's some future moment more worth our presence than the one we're in right now is why we miss our lives. Boom. That is, That's the truth though, right? There's always somewhere to get to in this modern day world, or so it seems. So we are conditioned to think. And this comes from the mind that is just trying to survive, trying to always do, and live from this place of when I get X, or when I get to this place, this destination that I have created in my mind, then I can slow down. Then I can enjoy my life. Then I can fully be present. And that is the greatest illusion of all time. That is the greatest illusion of all time because, for one, we totally put our joy, our happiness, our lives into some future moment that we are never actually in. The goalpost will keep moving because what does that mean? Like, what does when I have the money mean? Like, we don't even really know what that means. We just think we'll know when we get there, right? And on top of that, we think that it's something outside of ourselves that is going to make us finally be happy enough to just be present. And that is the illusion. That is the dilemma of being human, is being trapped in that thought. Because the truth is that, for one, life is only happening right now. And I know we've all heard this before, and so many of us are like, we know. Back to that spiritual lingo. But truthfully, that is the truth. And it is so ironic to think that we are constantly trying to get to some future moment when the only moment that exists is genuinely right now. And so it's the belief that we will feel a different way in the future that is the reason we don't feel that right now. That is actually how reality works. That is how life works. It's not something outside of yourself that's finally going to grant you the permission to feel at ease and feel fulfilled and feel peaceful. It is the practice of learning how to tune and tap into that right now. Because is just the irony of thinking that you're going to know how to be present in the future when your circumstances are ideal the way that you think they need to be in order to for you to feel that is funny, because it to me it just points to the fact that people don't understand how reality works, right? We don't feel the way we do because of our circumstances. That is the illusion. That's why we chase things outside of ourselves. That's why we're constantly in hustle grind mode. Doesn't mean that things outside of ourselves don't influence our state. Like, we are relational beings. That is part of being human, and it's beautiful. However, it is all temporary. It is fleeting. When you get when you achieve the next goal, or you find the person that you fall in love with or whatnot, these are beautiful experiences, but they are fleeting, and you will always return to your habitual way of being after some time, because your experience is happening within you. And when you continue to act and behave and think the way that you always have, you will continue to feel the way that you always have. So again, we get these moments of temporary relief that are just motivating enough to think that, oh, maybe it's this thing. Oh, maybe now I just need to do it a little bit more. Oh, maybe I just need a little bit more money. And that is the rat race that just leaves us feeling so empty and exhausted. And I don't want any of us to get to the end of our lives and be like, wow, that just flew by. Like, what did I do with my time? Because, I'm guilty of this too. I'm guilty of being like, where did this week just go? Like, what? And I've been practicing meditation and mindfulness for, I don't know, like 6 years now, pretty intentionally. And I still get trapped in that all the time. And so I just think this is a reminder for all of us. And, give yourself some grace knowing that you're human. And as much as we understand these concepts intellectually, we will continue to forget and go back into the default of what we have been taught and what we have believed for so long. And that's why it's a practice. That's why mindfulness and meditation are practices you do consistently, because that's how we rewire. That's how we remember. That's how we stay embodied in these teachings and these knowings, rather than just hearing them and then not doing anything with them, living the same way that we always have before, right? It's not enough to just know. Your life changes when you implement this work. Okay, enough of that. Let's go back to the tea ceremony where all of these thoughts came from. Yeah, so to give some context, this is only my second time sitting in like a formal tea ceremony. And both have been with my friend Christy, who learned this beautiful ritual and how to serve tea. And it is a simple but profound practice. I feel like all of our most profound practices and teachings are simple. That's why a lot of people override them or underrate them. But yeah, it's just for those who are rookies like I am, it's basically just you're sitting down and you have someone serving the tea, and there's no talking. We're all sitting in silence. There's music, but it's quiet, and every move is so intentional from the person who's serving tea. And yeah, you're sitting with several rounds of tea and working with the beautiful plants and sitting in the silence of what is alive for you, and actually just being with yourself, being in the moment, being with the ritual, and being in your senses. And the first time I sat with Christy, honestly, I was like, this is cool, but I don't know. I don't know. My mind was just trying to be like, okay, but what are we doing? Like it felt unproductive, if you will, which is hilarious to just the mind doing mind things. Everything needs to be productive. And yet this is why we miss the whole point of what the point is of being alive. And it hit me so hard during this ceremony. I was like, oh my God, here it is again. Like, I get it again. It's like you forget and then you remember, and you forget and you remember. Peter Crone has this quote that says, life is it's basically a game of cosmic hide and seek. And it's so true. It's like we have to forget in order to have the beautiful reminder of remembering, whether that is who we really are when we get sucked back into the old limiting stories, and then finally have a moment where we break through and remember our infinite nature and that we are so loved and held and protected no matter what we do, right? The contrast is what gives us that sweet remembrance. Or whether it's just remembering something as simple as like, oh, the point is just to be fully present right here, right now. And that is the access point to all the feelings that I chase in the daily grind, in the daily gotta get there, gotta do more, gotta go. It's so simple, but it's not easy. And yeah, I've had so many moments like this, like deeply profound ones. And the biggest one for me was my ayahuasca ceremony that I sat in last May, that I haven't shared too much about on here, but I'm thinking about it. It was a very life-changing experience for me. And so I'm curious to know if you want to hear more about that. Perhaps I can do an episode just on that, because there's a lot there to unpack. But probably the biggest theme of my experience, my journey with ayahuasca, was this theme of it's all right here. And again, that sounds so simple and so obvious. And yet I would say 99.9% of humans have no idea what that actually means. Have never actually fully been in the present moment and held it long enough to understand what that truly, truly means. Because it is tough. It is tough having this egoic mind that is so easily distracted, and living in this modern world where the stimulation, yeah, we are so stimulated everywhere we look. I mean, social media alone, technology has desensitized us, and our distraction, our ability to focus is minimal compared to any other time in human history. And yet that's even more reason to practice mindfulness, to practice meditation, and all these different practices. But it's like you don't know what you don't know. And people just think it's normal to live in such a distracted, constantly on the go, constantly, living in a future moment or for a future moment, that we forget that the whole point and the access to what we actually desire is only available right here. And how to do that, again, I think is a practice most people have no idea how to do. But to give you a little bit, and I'm not saying I'm a master at this either, not at all, but I do feel like I've made a lot of progress. And the reason for that is because I've spent the last 6 years meditating pretty much daily and practicing mindfulness and working with plant medicines, and just really deeply in this work. And yet for me, it's also still challenging, clearly. And so during this tea ceremony, at the beginning, my mind was a little bit like, I even remember driving over there on a Saturday morning, and I was just like, like I had a lot of energy, and I was just like, I don't want to sit in silence right now for an hour. Like I feel like I want to like go do stuff. And I was listening to music and singing in the car, and there's just a lot of energy in my system. And so I was a little bit resistant to going and sitting down and, being in the silence, being in the ritual for about an hour. But I've come to learn that wherever the resistance is usually what I need most. And boy, is that the greatest teacher. And that's exactly what happened. At the beginning, I was fighting it a little bit. My mind was, kind of not wanting to drop in. But it's always when and by the way, this is why people don't meditate. I think it's so funny because it's so ironic. Because people are like, no, I can't quiet my mind. I just there's too much going on in my mind. That's why I can't meditate. And I'm like, that is exactly why we meditate. That is the whole point. We don't meditate because we have a calm mind. We meditate because we need to practice how to enter that state, how to move through the mess and the chaos of the busy mind and be able to hone our sense of awareness to such a degree that you can bring yourself back whenever you go down the rabbit hole that is the mind chatter. You're literally, meditation and mindfulness is literally the practice of sharpening your tool of awareness. I feel like I'm trying to outrun this sunshine that's hitting me. If you're watching the video, you'll understand, but the sun's coming through the window and it's just starting to come more and more direct, and I love the sun, but it's toasting me a little bit. Anyway, that is the ultimate practice. That is how we release suffering. That is how we access the feelings that we are after in this life. That is how we slow down time, because time is an illusion. It's just about your perception of time, which again, if you are busy and moving through life on autopilot, your perception of time is that it's moving very quickly because you're not fully present. And so that is the key to everything that we are after, is learning how to work with our awareness and recognizing, so like being able to so subtly notice when you are caught in stories of the past, stories of the future, aka you're anywhere but here with your mind, which is again where most people are living, or when you are just on autopilot, you're totally thinking about something else and you're not engaged in the moment. And to be able to bring that back and bring your awareness down from the head and the thinking mind, which is where it usually sits, down into the feeling body, that is how we enter the present moment. That is also our access to health and vitality on a very deep, deep level, and our access to everything that, like I said, everything that we want to feel. This is the reason we want anything in this world outside of ourselves, aka the accomplishments, the money, the partnership, whatever, is because of the feelings we associate with that, right? Manifestation 101 teaches you that it's about embodying those feelings, feeling the feelings now, so you become a frequency match, because everything in this life is energy. So it's about you becoming a frequency match for that which you are looking to call in. It also, when you understand just the basics of neuroscience, works this way, because whatever you are believing and experiencing, your mind is going to look for more evidence to support that and filter your reality to match that. So when you are in an energy of abundance and love and possibility, you start to experience more of that in your reality. That's not because those opportunities and possibilities and synchronicities and magic wasn't there, but because you were not receptive to it. You were completely filtering it out. The mind does this automatically, right? So with that said, I just feel like I went down a rabbit hole. But with that said, it's all right here, right? The whole point, again, is like the feelings you're after can only be felt right now. And the practice is learning how to feel them in the now. And that is your access point to actually manifesting more in your exterior life. But we are so not good at that. Just to be really honest, like we're not good at that because no one ever taught us, and that's no fault of anyone else. Like we live in a society that's just very disconnected from these practices and these spiritual teachings. And so we get to take responsibility for that if we really want to live a life of peace and fulfillment and joy right now, and not wait till we retire or wait till some future moment. Because every time we declare that we can't be happy until we have something, or that our happiness depends on something outside of ourselves, we are declaring that we cannot feel that right now. And that sucks. Because the reality is we have no idea how long we actually have. Like I know I don't think we have a close enough relationship with mortality in the Western world. I know I absolutely didn't, and to some degree still don't. And I guess in some ways I'm grateful that I haven't had to experience like people close to me passing. However, there's a maturity and a level of wisdom that comes with understanding death and not shying away from it and not seeing it as this like terrible thing, but as the only truth is that we're all going to die. And if we can use that as a beautiful and deep reminder that life is precious and shorter than we think, then it helps us to, yeah, feel more motivated to do these practices, to actually take it seriously and learn how to live in the present moment and learn how to feel everything that you want to feel right now. Because the truth is that, oh my gosh, it's just, it's so obvious, but it's so easy to forget how you can, like, everything that we feel is a direct result of our perspective. And we get, this is what I'm saying, is like, it's all about our state of being and our perspective. Because when we are caught in the illusion that, oh, it's just because I don't have the money yet that I can't, that I don't want to, that I'm not going to allow myself to feel the abundance, or, I'm not happy because I have these problems in my life or these health symptoms. It's like, yeah, you're focusing on what's missing. You're focusing on what you don't have, and then wondering why you don't feel happy. But that is not a problem of circumstance. That is a problem of perspective. We are not victims of circumstance. We are victims of perspective. And that doesn't make it easy, because half of the time we have no idea that we're doing it. But that is the game. That is the answer, is recognizing how am I choosing to view my life right now? And the more you train yourself, again, training your awareness to look elsewhere, to look in a different direction, to focus on something different, you literally change your entire experience in the now moment. This is how you can go from feeling totally down, totally shitty about yourself because you're viewing your life through this limited perspective of poor me and life is unfair and look at all my problems and I can't have what I want because of XYZ, and you're justifying and your brain is continuing to find more evidence, and it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. And then in an instant, and this is why A Course in Miracles says that a miracle is a shift in perspective, because in an instant something can happen, or some shift in your perspective can open up that you could not see before. And suddenly you are looking through a lens of love that completely alters your experience in the now moment, even though none of your circumstances changed. And the greatest example I have of this is, like I mentioned, my ayahuasca journey, where on the second night, the medicine came on so strong at the beginning. And I just entered this full DMT state, if you know, of just chaos. Like internally, my mind was just going crazy with like visions and so much energy and movement. And it was just all over the place and chaotic and hectic. And I felt trapped, and I was like fighting it. I didn't want it. It was uncomfortable. And I was just like afraid of what was happening. Like the psyche is a fucking crazy place. But that's a story for another time. Anyway, I can only describe it as like, I felt like I was in the depths of hell for a moment there. And I don't want to scare anyone away from, well, I guess, and not scare you away, but obviously all of these medicines are like, none of this is all just my personal journey. And I think that they deserve a lot more caution and respect, and yeah, doing your research and doing some level of inner work to even play around in any of these spaces. But anyway, that's just a little cautionary, like side note. But yeah, I was really in it, and it wasn't that scary to me because I understood what was going on, and I've done enough work to understand how to work with my mind and my thoughts to not totally get lost in them. But it was struggle. Like I was struggling for sure, because I didn't want to be in that state. And I was just like, there's just so much going on. I just want to like, whoa, slow down. And I was in that for what felt like an hour. And in an instant, you guys, something clicked in my mind. And there was like 3 thoughts that were just boom, boom, boom. And suddenly I entered into a state of what I knew in that moment was enlightenment. I couldn't hold this state after ceremony. Clearly, I'm not saying I'm an enlightened being now, but I did touch it. I tasted it. And after that shift that happened, where I literally felt like I went from a state, because I believe that heaven and hell are not places, but they're states of being, they're mental states. And this is why it all comes down to your perspective. And this is why 2 people can experience the same events, but have completely different experiences internally, because you are creating your experience of life based on your perception, based on your view of it, right? And what I understood so deeply from that drastic transition that happened in ceremony was how bliss is being in the present moment fully and not lost in thoughts. I understood that the mind is a meaning making machine, that there's no end to it. Like, truly, it is just drama. Whether good or bad, whether you're fantasizing about some beautiful future and just totally lost in that, or whether you are in like the worst what if, worst case scenario in your mind, or reliving a past trauma, like, it is all mental activity that is never ending. And the reason that we suffer is because we get totally consumed by those thoughts, by that mental chatter, and we lose full touch of the present moment. Because in this present moment, 99.9% of the time, everything's actually good. Like, we're chilling in this moment. The suffering is psychological. Like, yes, we experience pain as humans, but suffering is psychological, and it is being in a resistance to what is right now, and like being stuck in the mind. I just understood what it meant to actually be in the present moment. And let's talk about what that means. Because again, this gets tossed around so much and people think they understand what it means, but I am so positive that most people have no idea what that actually entails. And it is the act of being fully engaged right now with all of your senses and not being stuck in your mind. So like, there's actually like no thoughts, or if there are, you can bring yourself back so swiftly that it's just like this, you don't linger in lost thought, but you are here, like, you can see exactly what's here around you. You feel your body, right? Your presence is in your body. It's inhabiting your body, not stuck in mind. You can smell, you can taste, it's just like this peace. You've probably touched it, for sure. We've all touched it many times, but to stay there long enough is tough. Because, and this is what I was basically, after that shift that happened in the ceremony, the next 4 hours or so, I felt like ayahuasca was teaching me how to hold the present moment. And it was a lot easier to hold with my eyes closed in ceremony, although that was tricky too, because there was a lot of distraction in terms of sound and people going through their own journeys and whatnot. But still, that was fairly easier than actually moving through life and paying bills and having responsibilities. But that is the practice. It's just the ability to stay right here, fully engaged in the moment without losing yourself in thought. And wow, I just went down so many rabbit holes, but that's kind of why I love free flowing these. Coming back to the tea ceremony, I got to touch that space again for longer than just a 5 to 10 minute meditation or 15-minute meditation. I got to be in that space for about an hour, and with the ritual of the tea, which gives you that, it's like that connection to the present moment, that you're engaging your senses so actively, is so beautiful. And part of what I love about myself is I'm such a hopeless romantic. And I love romanticizing life. because I really do believe that it is so beautiful. And the gift of being alive is the fact that we get to feel and sense our way through this reality. The fact that we can see a sunset, which is just art painted across the sky. The fact that we get to hear music. Oh my gosh, music is like my greatest joy because it takes me to that present moment more than anything. And I feel it through every cell of my body. That we get to dance and feel, right? It's just, this is what I mean by being present and the gift that it is to be able to be human, that is only available to us right now in this moment, that we so totally miss. Like, we miss the whole point when we are rushing, when we are living from our heads, and we are looking, and we are desensitized because of technology. So it takes a lot more for us to feel the level of bliss that is actually available when we can really start to master being present and being deeply engaged in our senses, like the subtlety of sensation that can activate the same level of pleasure and bliss and joy and peace. For most people, that takes so much, and that's why they need so much stimulation and, loudness and intensity, and then everything else is just dull. And I think that is so sad, because when you resensitize yourself to the subtle sensations that we have the capacity to feel, oh my God, that is our access to the very feelings that we are after. And yet we get to feel them in the most mundane moments. We get to feel them on a regular basis when we actually practice that. And so the word that kept coming through as Christy was pouring the tea and my eyes were closed and I was listening to the music and just listening to every little sound and so deeply feeling my body and, holding the tea and experiencing each little sip and the warmth in my mouth and the taste, and like just genuinely slowing everything down to be so present with every little movement and sound and smell. And the word that kept coming through my mind was delight. Like, to just be delighted by life, by the most subtle sensations and sounds. Like when Christy was pouring the tea, she pours, like, there's 4 of us total, and so there was 4 tea cups, and she goes around and pours a little bit at a time in each one, and then comes around, and it's like 3 full circles or whatever. And so just the sound of the tea pouring into the cup, like, I miss that 99% of my life. Like, how often do I just pour tea into a cup and just think nothing of it? It just happens automatically. And that is such a missed opportunity to experience life, which at the end of the day is like, that's why we're here. We don't get to take anything with us, and we're all going to die. That's just the reality of it. And we don't get to take anything with us. And we spend so much of our life trying to accumulate things. Like, the amount of shit that I have in my home that I'm just like, I don't need 90% of this, truly. And I don't get me wrong, I love, like, part of being human is like we get to play and have fun things and to enjoy them. But how much of it are you actually enjoying? How much of it did you just buy? I know I'm so guilty of this, but how many things in your home did you just buy on impulse because you thought it was going to make you happy? You thought it was going to make you whatever you thought the feeling was going to be. The consumerism world that we live in. And then it brought you joy for like maybe 2 weeks. And then you either never used it again, or you just totally, just lost its value, its joy. I am so guilty of that. I am so human, and it's okay. Like, we are going to be human. You're not going to get rid of this. Don't shame yourself. Like, the sweet spot of life is being able to hold the paradox of the fact that we are human and therefore imperfect and have an ego and are going to forget time and time and time and time again. and at the same time be able to remember and tap back into the infinite soul that we are and the truth of what it means to be alive and the joy and the gift and the like what really matters. To be able to hold both of those at the same time and recognize life for what it is, which is this cosmic game of hide and seek where you forget and remember, forget and remember. It's like, it's all okay, but let's remember more than we forget so that we can enjoy our lives more than just running through them on autopilot, constantly trying to get to some future moment. Like, yeah, life is challenging and I get that. Trust me. It's been a tough season for me. And I have my fair share of challenges still, even right now as I record this. But you always have the choice of perspective. We all have that. It is free. It is not easy, but it is simple. And that is your direct access back to joy, back to gratitude, back to the now moment, and back to your power. Because if you are saying that you can't be happy, you can't be calm until you have XYZ in certain circumstances and you get rid of certain problems, that is a self-fulfilling prophecy. That is the only reason you can't feel it now, is because you've said that and because you've practiced living for some future moment. You have rehearsed that. But you can practice the opposite and you can learn how to feel this now. And again, that is you actually setting yourself up to experience more of it and see more of it in your reality. That's just how life works. And that is also our direct access to health. This was another huge aha moment for me in my ayahuasca journey, because part of my intention going into it was wanting to understand health at a much deeper level. I came into this whole world of spirituality and well-being through physical health, and I was very, very obsessed with nutrition and gut health and all things physical health and trying to heal my own health symptoms. And I learned so much, and I'm so grateful for that period of time. But I also went too hard and was trying to fix. I didn't know I was doing this at the time, but I was trying to outrun a feeling of unworthiness through achieving the perfect body and the perfect definition of health in my eyes. And that's why it only worked temporarily, and then it backfired, because that was my lesson, was to realize that true health is not just having a fit body. That is so far off from what health actually is. And that is why there are so many people who look great on the outside, and on the inside, they're still struggling. They're still suffering. They're still experiencing symptoms. True health, what I've come to learn, and I have not yet mastered this, but I'm so much closer than I've ever been, is ease at a cellular level. I mean, even if you just think of the word disease, it's dis-ease, right? It's a lack of ease. And yes, that is in part because of your diet, 100%. Let's not deny that. Your diet and your lifestyle, huge, huge. And that is only, I'd say like a third of it. The other 2/3 are your mental and emotional state. That is really the game changer. And your mind is creating your reality, right? Like we talked about earlier, the difference between seeing through a lens of fear and seeing through a lens of love. That can be it's literally night and day. It's heaven and hell in terms of your experience. And that is what is creating your internal experience. So if you think about it, if you live in a mind that is constantly in victim perspective, constantly been trained to look for what's missing, for what's wrong, for how you're wrong, for how life is hard, I mean, feel into that. What does that feel like in your body? To me, that feels like such constriction, such contraction, and it's dense and it's heavy and there's no flow. And when you think of life and vitality, it's literally life force energy. It's energy that's able to flow through you naturally and easily. And so the opposite of that is a mental, emotional state that is at ease, that's like present and open and yeah, and the reason I say that presence is your access point to health and vitality is because that is what it gives you. It gives you that state of ease. When you are not caught in the drama of the mind and you are fully present right now and looking through a lens of love, of like, wow, I already have so much to be grateful for. Like if I look for reasons for why I'm abundant, I will find infinite reasons. If I look for reasons for why I am so blessed, I will find infinite reasons. They exist. It's just, are you looking for them or not? The brain doesn't care. Like the brain is it's like a machine. It's just trained to look for that which you believe. So it works both ways. And you can train yourself to be an optimistic person. You can train yourself to be present in the now. You can train yourself to look for the good, but it is a practice and not one you do once, but you do daily. And it changes your life completely. And I just experienced that so viscerally in my journey where every time that I got lost in a thought, my body would tighten up, even if it was like the most subtle tightening of your belly or my shoulders or my throat. Like it was just, I was so present that I noticed the difference. And then I would notice, oh wow, yeah, it's because I went down, I let my awareness take me on a loop about, some story that happened in the past or what that person might be going through right now or whatever it is. And the moment I would bring my awareness back to the now, to my body, to the music, the tension would dissolve in my body. And I was like, oh, that's what health is. That's what health is. Your body knows exactly how to heal. It's just we constantly get in the way of that. Because the body doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined. So this is why your thoughts can make you sick or they can make you well. That's all Joe Dispenza, right? His work, and it's profound. This is why the nocebo effect works. Your body's responding to your state of mind consistently and not just consciously, subconsciously as well. That's why it takes a little bit more digging to figure out what is living deep down in the subconscious that you're not aware of. But it's just so cool because all of this knowledge makes you so empowered to change your life, to not be a victim of your circumstances, to realize the power you have over your health, over your mindset, over everything that you experience and everything that you manifest. We are not at the mercy of life. We are creating it. We just don't realize how. And so then we feel like a victim. Wow. Okay. We just went down so many rabbit holes, but hopefully this has been helpful and entertaining to you. It has been fun for me and helpful for me too. These are all reminders for me, as well, because I forget, because I'm human. But man, it is just such a different world when you are fully present and content. There's just this level of peace, of ease, and of just joy. Like I caught myself just smiling with my eyes closed during the tea ceremony for so much of it because I was just delighted by the smallest sounds and feelings. And I was like, oh, it doesn't take much. It does not take much. But it does take sharpening that tool of awareness and practicing. But man, what a delight. What a gift it is to be human. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's messy. Yes, it's challenging. And it's fucking beautiful. Because yes, we're an infinite soul and spirit, and I believe that. I know that. But the gift of being human is to be able to feel, to have a body that actually can sense the touch of a lover's hand, right? Can sense a tree, can feel, can love to the depths that we can love, and also to the depths of pain and grief that are the opposite side of the same coin. If we can open ourselves to being a vessel for experience itself, which is the whole point of being alive, it's the only thing you take with you, then that's the point to me. But it's like, your ability to feel all of it is what makes you feel alive. And again, all of that is happening right now. So stop waiting for some future moment. You are the tuning fork, and you need to learn and practice tuning yourself to it now. And that's what allows you to feel it more when you are in the good moments, quote unquote. Like there's a reason why we so many of us, myself included, wait for those like really high highs. And then when we're actually in them, they go by like that. And we're like, damn, it's already over. Yeah, because you haven't practiced. I mean, the truth is it's always going to be temporary, but you can get so much more out of your life and out of those highs when you understand how to be present and how to soak it all up. And that is a practice that happens right now, no matter what moment you're in. Life is happening now. And so much of this has been alive for me too, because a friend of friends of mine, not someone I knew personally, but who I knew of and had an impact on a lot of people in my life, passed away 2 weeks ago at 33 years old from colon cancer. 33 years old. And it happened so fast. Within a year, I believe, that she was diagnosed and passed away. So yeah, the reality is we don't know how long we have, and why are we waiting for life to finally be perfect and the way that we think it should be for us to feel everything and to be grateful for all of it and to be present for it now, to be present for the subtlest, most mundane moments that we pass off as not good enough. It's happening right now. Don't miss out on it. I love you. Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you soon.